What is something a woman can do that can immediately turn you off? This question is subjective, but I am curious. It can be applicable in general, not just in intimate situations. Story 1. You're not a real man unless you insert a manipulative, self-serving argument here. Goodbye. I had a woman like that once before, and I would rather gouge out my own eyeballs with a rusty railroad spike than go back to living like that. Story 2. Being self-centered. In short, the more unkind I see them behave, the less desire I have to engage with them. Story 3. If I open up about something that broke my heart and tears fall from my eyes, and she mocks or disrespects it, that woman is done to me. Story 4. Abuse of service staff is unacceptable. Having been in the customer service industry for decades, I find this behavior repugnant. Story 5. The girl I was talking to, but never officially said we were dating, made a joke about falsely accusing men of rape. I immediately lost all interest in her. Story 6. Make fun of any of my friends, trying to belittle or embarrass them for no reason, especially when you have just met them. Do not disrespect my friends. Story 7. Acting entitled. Posting attention-seeking pictures. Criticizing men. Rudeness. Excessive tattoos, lip fillers, fake eyelashes, and unnecessarily long or sharp nails. When all of that is present on one person, it appears tacky. Story 8. Act superior and entitled. Saying, if you love me, you will or won't do this or that. This is classic manipulation. Abusive behavior. Act selfish and inconsiderate. Uses something I shared in confidence against me. Lack of ambition and a poor work ethic. I cannot stand when someone has a lazy streak or refuses to try their best to make something of themselves and utilize their potential. Story 9. Being unkind to service staff, animals, or children is unacceptable. While I can understand disliking the latter two, consistently being mean as a pattern of behavior is not acceptable. Story 10. Try to flatter me right before asking for a favor. I can see those fluttering eyelashes from a distance, and it will undoubtedly lead to my answer being no. Just ask me like a normal person. Story 11. Anything that revolves around my role here as a servant for her, since I am a man and she is a woman. Story 12. Be a racist. You'd be surprised how many dates didn't get a chance because they just had to say something racist about another table close to ours. Story 13. I sincerely believe in astrology. If it's a fun hobby and you know it isn't real, that's fine. However, if you think it's real in any way, I find it hard to connect with you intellectually. Story 14. And we have today's post about sexual turnoffs. There's one seemingly every other day in some form. Reddit is helping people connect with their negative feelings. Story 15. The nose ring on her nose resembles a pig's nose ring. She could have any other features, but this one disgusts me. I truly dislike it. I have an attractive friend with whom I connect well. She is lovely. The only thing preventing me from pursuing anything is the nose ring. Story 16:1. Does not say please, thank you, or sorry. I value good manners a great deal and often use it as part of my assessment of their character. If they have trouble providing the closure I need by giving a heartfelt apology, it raises a concern. Self-centered and entitled. If they do not reciprocate, it is a deal breaker. I do not give to receive, but I refuse to accept less than I deserve. I am invested in this relationship, and if I do not feel that they are equally invested, I will move on. Disrespecting boundaries. If we cannot agree on a boundary at a fundamental level, it is not just over. It must be over or else we are both in for trouble. Ambitionless. If they have no real goals or do not work towards their goals, then they probably will not uphold the promises they make about the relationship they claim to want. Furthermore, I want someone to walk by my side. This does not mean that if I earn enough for my partner to be a stay-at-home parent, they could not. However, I would need an equivalent exchange to take place. They would raise the children and also have a closer relationship with them due to the amount of time spent together. I want my time at home with my children and partner to be meaningful, rather than feeling like I must work more by doing chores. Looks matter, but I believe that men tend to prioritize personality over appearance when looking for someone to build a future with. These are my preferences based on my experiences and expectations. To each their own. Story 17. The fake baby talk or general overt juvenile behavior is acceptable when speaking to a baby or toddler. However, it is inappropriate to use such behavior in a restaurant while trying to get what you want. Story 18. Girls who experience mood swings constantly may believe it is acceptable due to a misplaced sense of privilege. Story 19. Being a narcissist. I was married for 24 years until 6 months ago when my wife left. I found out she is a covert narcissist, and I was blind to it. Talk about falling down a rabbit hole of pain. I discovered she has been involved in adult content for over 18 years. She wore wigs, fake tattoos, and heavy makeup to conceal her identity. I also discovered at least 6 other boyfriends. If you think that's bad, it gets worse. My youngest son just turned 18 and is high-functioning autistic. He is the one who saved me. He woke me up and explained gaslighting and narcissism to me because I didn't understand. I think women are fantastic, but I will never trust another woman again. I have never met a single woman in my entire life who is loyal. Not one. I have watched countless women justify betrayal with the most absurd excuses. They expect men to take care of them, yet they often blame men when they are struggling themselves. They expect men to be mind readers, to just know what they want or need at any given time, and if not, they believe men are not paying attention. They punish men for acting in accordance with their nature. The biggest turnoff for me is when a woman opens up without sincerity. Story 20. This is a real shocker. If she says she is tired or not in the mood, getting turned off is kind of the point, and that's okay. Story 21. My ex-wife once said that she had no pity for those struggling with addiction because they made the choice to start. It didn't matter what their circumstances were. I was instantly turned off. Like others mentioned, this demonstrated a lack of compassion. It came up because I was trying to quit smoking but was really struggling, and she said, "If you get lung cancer, I won't feel bad for you." Story 22. Willful ignorance, maliciousness, racism, and cruelty to animals or other humans, along with constantly looking at their phone and texting people while on a date, demonstrate a lack of consideration. Some people change their behavior or stop looking after themselves once they have a partner. And no, that's mostly not me complaining about my exes. Story 23. Being arrogant, ignorant, selfish, self-centered, dishonest, and engaging in mind games is unacceptable. If I encounter any of these traits, I will distance myself quickly. Story 24. Another Ask Men thread where every answer is a general response that can be applied to any group of people. Story 25. If I am shopping in a Costco and she tries to sell me a cell phone, I am completely turned off, regardless of how attractive she is. Story 26. Drink alcohol with the sole purpose of losing inhibitions and escaping accountability. Smoke. Express dislike for animals known for their generous and affectionate nature. Shave off eyebrows. Disdain strength training, believing that understanding your body is a sign of masculinity. Story 27. Many women immediately turn me off when they start talking, but this isn't unique to women. I tend to repel many people. In reality, I don't care about their social media accounts. If someone mentions how many likes they received on a post, how many followers they have, or anything related to social media, it really irks me. It feels so superficial and disingenuous. Story 28. Toxicity and negativity can affect everyone. People feel sad. Bad things happen. That's life and that's okay. However, when a person is constantly angry, complaining, and unpleasant to everyone without reason, it may be time to move on. Story 29. I was once interested in a woman until I saw her drunkenly push over a city garbage bin because she thought it would be fun. Story 30. Having an OnlyFans account or a promiscuous past, calling oneself independent or a queen frequently, being loud or annoying, or being a party girl can disqualify a woman from potential dating opportunities. Women often think that men want constant conversation, but that's not the case. What we truly want is peace, modesty, and assurance that a woman is not promiscuous. Men are simple in their desires. Story 31. Having a bad attitude, having many male friends, smoking, drinking, showing no effort, and annoying friends. Story 32. Talk behind her friends' backs and smile in their faces, like she didn't just share their deepest secrets with me. Story 33. She gives a challenging test that is quite intense. If she presents you with a challenging situation, it reflects her character and indicates what to expect from her as a potential partner. Story 34. When you don't reply to a text for 10 minutes and she says, "Oh, it looks like you're busy. I'll leave you alone." Story 35. Gender roles can be acceptable, but only when they apply to me. This means I'm expected to be the typical Hallmark movie stereotype of a man, while I cannot even consider her as the traditional woman. Story 36. Vaping or smoking cigarettes and marijuana are things I can tolerate if they don't affect a person's personality, but the other two just seem unappealing to me. I'm 16. Story 37. Talk about the patriarchy. Instant check please moment. I have no interest in bringing someone who dislikes me into my life. Story 38. Not showing effort or enthusiasm during intimacy is a concern. I will do my best to please her, but if she is not engaged, it diminishes the experience. I am not seeking a cold interaction. I want to share a meaningful experience together. Story 39. Gossip. If she is going to tell on her best friends to me constantly, then she is probably doing the same to me with them when I am not around. I need a woman who has my back, not one who will share my private matters with anyone who will listen. Story 40. I dislike a lot of social interactions where I am expected to initiate conversation, especially without the comfort of small talk or any natural spontaneity. I experience social anxiety even in the best situations, and these expectations make it even more challenging. It is particularly frustrating when the individuals making these requests have vague bios and uninteresting pictures. This immediately discourages me. On the other hand, people who simply say, "Hello, how are you?" are truly a blessing. While I am not fond of small talk, it is refreshing to converse without feeling like I have a homework assignment before speaking to someone for the first time. Story 41. Acting like she's a man, comparing me to her exes or flings, not cleaning her car or place, talking badly about people for no reason, being unkind, not feminine, and being disrespectful. It's all about money for her, enjoying treating men poorly, neglecting hygiene, smoking, and not caring about her health. She wants a man to do everything while she remains inactive and seeks handouts. She's not suited for a committed relationship yet expects the next man to marry her. Story 42. Belittling men suggests that some women believe they are a higher class of human than men. However, when they need assistance, they often look for a man in the room. Story 43. I once went on a date with someone who expressed how much she disliked men multiple times. When I made a joke about it, she said she didn't even realize she was saying it. I wasn't personally offended, but I can't see how any relationship would work when you dislike me for my gender. Story 44. Discuss crystals, vibrations, frequencies, energies, astrology, tarot, and popular personality tests, allowing these influences to guide her life decisions. Story 45. The whole astrology phenomenon is concerning, especially when people take it seriously. Making inappropriate comments like, "put a baby in me," is even worse when we are only casually dating. Misandry seems to be much more prevalent among the newer generation. Entitled behavior is also a significant issue. Story 46. Fake eyelashes, the baby hair glued to her forehead. The inside of her car looks like a disaster. Goes barefoot outdoors in inappropriate places. Listens to Glorilla, Cardi B, Taylor Swift, or Sexy Red. Thinks The Breakfast Club and TikTok are legitimate news sources. Story 47. Heavy makeup quickly hits the uncanny valley for me and makes me feel uncomfortable. Especially when women use so much foundation that their face is one tone except for a couple of splotches of blush. It gives me creepy corpse vibes. Sexism extinguishes any interest immediately. If I am seen as a lesser human in her eyes because of my gender, then I want nothing to do with her. Early warning signs include phrases like mansplaining, all men suck, and you are a man, you wouldn't understand. How she talks about men with her female friends is usually the best indicator, in my experience. Women who are emotional wrecks can be concerning. Everyone has problems in life, and it's fine to be working through them, but some women, and probably some men as well, seem like their life is hanging by a thread while they constantly lurch from one crisis to another. I mean no ill will toward these women. Many are genuinely lovely people, but like a drowning person, they may pull you down with them if you try to play the hero and rescue them. Story 48. Put me in a position to compete for her love. If I have to win you over or compete against that other person, then that's a no for me. I'm out. Story 49. Their hobby is shopping. They talk about needs, but new clothes are wants, and they do not know the difference. Story 50. Saying, "That's your job," in relation to anything implies that I can be fired and replaced. It also signifies that I am expected to seek better pay and working conditions elsewhere. Story 51. Show a lack of manners, especially to customer service employees or waitstaff. Flirt with others. Play games or act manipulatively. Say phrases such as, "You're lucky I'm with you," including variations like, "I have many options, but I'm choosing to be with you." Story 52. Any generalization against men is problematic. I understand that some individuals may be hurting or have experienced something distressing. However, too often, they share the pain of others or engage in a culture that supports this negativity. If a girl expresses hatred towards all men, and there isn't a specific recent event that justifies her feelings, it becomes a reason for me to distance myself from her. Story 53. Cigarette. I often found myself becoming interested in a woman, only to see her light up a cigarette. I have a very low opinion of that activity and the people who indulge in it. Story 54. Fake laugh genuinely while she's talking. Although this applies to everyone, it can still be off-putting. Story 55. 10 unpack combative fact. Disgusted. Slap. Cow station whistle act. Story 56. Being violent generally refers to any kind of disrespectful behavior towards others. Story 57. Any indication of not taking accountability for one's actions is concerning. Additionally, expressing victimization by discussing the effects on oneself while neglecting to address the underlying causes is troubling. Story 58. Hot and cold behavior. Passive aggressiveness. Any woman with bipolar disorder or personality disorder. I dislike how many of these women are attractive and great in bed, but their mental health issues can be a turn-off and draining. Story 59. If she is rude for no reason, especially to people who are just trying to help her or doing their job, it reflects her character. How people treat those they have power over is a good indicator of how they will treat you if you are in a similar position. Story 60. I'm a straightforward woman, but I will express what frustrates me about some women. Using their children against men because they do not want to be in a relationship but still wish to see their kids. Using child support as an excuse to obtain money when it is rarely used for the children. Discussing height but getting upset when a man mentions her weight. Never apologizing when they know they are wrong, and then trying to manipulate emotions regarding their actions, especially in cases of infidelity. Claiming they do not need or want men, yet expecting a man to financially support them. Making jokes about assault or using the term against men to harm their reputations, while dismissing the experiences of actual victims. This is particularly upsetting to me because I have personally endured it twice, and it is not a joke. Using mental health as a justification for rude behavior and trivializing it as if it is a personality trait, especially depression without a diagnosis. I have many more thoughts, but I do not want to bore you. Thank you for listening. Story 61. I think the worst thing she could do would be to have male genitalia. That would turn me off, and I like them. Scratch that, I love them, but if I want to be with a woman, I expect her to have the correct equipment. Story 62. You know the type of women who dress in skin-tight leopard print leotards, get excessively drunk with their friends at the club, and yell loudly into their phones while recording a video for social media? I prefer to stay far away from those people. Story 63. Talking negatively about people, particularly men, who have regular jobs she considers beneath her indicates that her motivation is financial. It also reflects poorly on her character. This criticism can apply to men as well. I frequently observe this behavior in women who attended university when they discuss men with blue-collar jobs. Story 64 calls herself a feminist. I don't care if she invented time travel. Once she uses that word, she's done. Forever. Story 65. When a woman tries to mimic men, especially negative male behavior or attitudes, they often project their feelings onto the opposite sex. For example, they may find men with wealth or successful careers more sexually attractive than those who have low-paying jobs. They genuinely believe that men are attracted to women with careers and money, as if a designer handbag has a special allure for the man who sees it. Unfortunately for these women, that is not the case. There are many scenarios where some women think that we find them sexy when they try to compete with us. Remember the last time a woman tried to lift heavier weights to impress you at the gym? Women attract us when they embrace their femininity and wear dresses. We are drawn to feminine traits, not traits that are overly masculine, which we find unappealing. Story 66. Spending time with my friends is enjoyable. While we can socialize, I would never seriously pursue someone who has been involved with all my friends. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.